Good evening, Common Sense. How are you? Ekshan, good evening, MM, Roll Presto, Christian, Everhawks. Good evening, folks. Welcome to another Thursday night of some TikTok live question and answers. How's it, Jessica? You were right on trusts and property transfers. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm glad that I was right. I'm glad that you double checked. Hopefully that will mean to others that I talk the truth. Hawks is here. JMF is here. Good evening. Muhammad. Good evening. Goeienaand JMF. Goeiemiddag. Goeienaand. Ja, nou laat ons in die somer is. Dit is soos 'n bietjie weird. Mense weet nie of dit nou al vroeë aand of laat middag is nie. Let's see. Add a life goal. Don't know what the heck they want me to do to add a life goal. All I want to do is talk to people about finances or anything else that's fun in life. So if you've got a question, if you've got a comment, please go ahead and make it. We'll talk about it. And for those people that are on the call so long while we are waiting for somebody to ask a question or anything to that extent, have you ever considered doing an international investment? If you have not, you should, okay? And there's various ways in which you can do international investments. You can do a local investment with an asset swap, which means that you take out an investment in South Africa, in South African rands. They do an asset swap with your capital, they invest it for you internationally, and then when you want to draw, they do an asset swap back to South Africa, and then you get the money out. But you can also invest directly internationally. You can make use of endowments internationally. You can invest these days 1 million rand per year without SARS approval, and then 10 million rand with SARS approval. And it's good to do it because when you do it, then you've got the exposure of bigger markets out there, so you've got diversification. So if you have never considered an international investment, you should do so. Any case, Philip Esterhazen says, just found my best investment up to date. My pension fund, it has shown growth of 19% last year. Congratulations, Philip. Now, the wonderful thing about that, Philip, is that 19% growth that you got is tax-free growth, eh? So it's tax-free 19% growth that you got in the last year. And I'm not surprised that you got that amount of growth because last year was just one fantastic year for investments. And as a matter of fact, this year is also a fantastic year for investments. Balanced funds, which are medium risk funds, performed from 18% to 23% last year, which is phenomenal. Absolutely extraordinary. It's not something that you see every day or going to get every day. And this year, everything seems to be upside down. The rand keeps on strengthening against the dollar where everybody think it's going to weaken. Our JSE has gone through record highs, which nobody ever expected. So yeah, congratulations, Philip. Glad you are having a good year, mate. Let's see who else is asking us. Common Sense says Mauritius investments. Now, friend, Common Sense, when you talk about Mauritius investments, I'm not exactly sure whether you are talking about investing in Mauritius. But yes, you can do it. The international investments I talk about is more where I make use of investment specialists, and they invest in big economies such as the UK, USA, China, etc. Invest in pounds, dollar, sterling, Swiss francs. That's the type of investment. So you can make use of Mauritius investments. I know that Mauritius is becoming a very attractive place for business from what I can understand. A lot of people go to Mauritius and open companies there and then make that their base for their business. I don't know any specific investments in Mauritius that I can say, yeah, this is good or bad. But you can do investments in Mauritius, absolutely no problem. JMF cannot believe that Philip got 19% growth. Okay, I'm just checking through here. What's next? If there's another comment. Philip says, Corey, you've convinced me to consider to stay on after 55. Great investment and great for you, Philip. I am happy to hear that you are going to think of staying on, Philip. Yes, my man, you will not be disappointed, especially when it comes from a financial point of view. The peace of mind that you're going to have is just going to be spectacular. So congratulations, man. Good stuff. Good stuff. Invite Rian Bauer to join as a live guest. Can you believe it? Rian Bauer is my brother. Would love to have him on the show. Just don't know if he will be able to answer investment questions. But I'm glad he's here and I hope he enjoys it. Sorry, let's see what else, who else, where else. Folks, and what Philip just said with regards to staying on longer, I promise you, it's one of the best things in life you can do. Not only from a financial point of view, but also from a, what do you call it? Not only from, so only a certain amount of that, oh wait, there's Rowen. Let's invite Rowen quickly. Oh, invitation sent. Okay, sorry, I keep on pressing button. So you only get a certain amount of money that you can use as rebate on your retirement contribution. That is limited to 27.5% of your income or 350,000. If you do such a large investment into a retirement annuity of 1 million rand, you won't get the full tax rebate, okay? Now, I do know that and I do understand that whatever you don't get now, you can get at retirement. So your 550,000 rand tax-free portion could be substantially bigger if you had 1 million rand invested in your RA and you could only deduct, let's call it 300,000. And now there's 700,000 that you never got the deduction on. So it increases your 550,000 tax-free by 700,000. So now it becomes 1.25 million. So that's good in whatever. But I do believe that if you've got 1 million rand that you want to invest, it's better to go and invest it into an investment where you have more liquidity on it. That's the first thing. So you will be taxed within the investment, and therefore when the money pays out one day, it's tax-free. So you won't get the benefit of the tax rebates on the premiums, but you will get the benefit of the tax liquidity and the tax-free income that you will get. So now when you get to retirement, you're sitting with these two investments. On the one hand, your pension fund or provident fund or retirement annuity that you will get a taxable income from. On the other hand, your endowment that you get a tax-free income from. And by doing it like that and having the two different investments that both give you incomes, you end up with a substantially better income because of a lower tax rate. So, Philip, I want to put 1 million rand in. I'll tell you one thing. If the 1 million rand was maybe put in when you were at the age of 25, different story. Okay, completely different story. Because then you've got 40 years of tax-free growth on that 1 million rand. But I think for somebody of your age, Philip, who I believe is already somewhere around 53, something like that, the 1 million rand is not going to give you the same benefits. So no, I won't do it. Long answer for a short question, I believe. Rowen, good evening, sir. How are you doing?
Good evening, Courtney. I'm doing well. Yourself?
Can't complain. Thank you very much. So Rowen, ladies and gents, if you know Rowen, or if you don't know Rowen, Rowen is one of the advisors that is part of my company. And I'm so glad that Rowen joined our company because Rowen is an absolute boffin when it comes to the GPF. And I know that I get a lot of questions with regards to the GPF. Sorry, folks, it feels like I've got a hair on my tongue. I get a lot of questions with regards to GPF, and I've got a very good knowledge of the GPF, but when it comes to Rowen, this man really knows the GPF back to front. So if there's anybody on the show tonight that wishes to ask any questions with regard to GPS, please go ahead and do so. We've got the right man here to answer. For Mishka, I have a good pension fund. For ad investment for the future, should I do tax-free savings or RA? So, you know what? This is one of the most difficult things to do, is to answer somebody on a short question like this. I think we've become so used to instant gratification, and we want an instant answer to all questions. And we actually so used as South Africans to go to a braai, have a few beers, talk with the mates or whatever, and somebody around the braai would say, hey, yes, you must go and invest your money in how many gold shares, it's brilliant. And then tomorrow people want to go and do it because this oak said it was brilliant, but it was one sentence and there was no thought in it or anything like that. So why do I tell you this? For you to say that you've got a good pension, and should you add investment by means of a tax-free savings or retirement annuity, is virtually impossible for me to answer. Both of those investments are good investments, but so is a retirement, so is an endowment, and so is a unit trust investment. So could be alternative investments. There are really a lot of different investments. Whichever is going to be the best for you in terms of another investment on top of your good pension fund that you have is going to depend on your personal circumstances. So unless I know what your tax rate is, what your gross income is, what your assets and liabilities is, what your need is to provide financially for financial dependence, etc., etc. If I don't know those factors, I cannot really say to you which is the best option for you. I can tell you the tax-free savings account is a good option. I can tell you retirement annuity is a good option. I can tell you an endowment is a good option, but I can't tell you which is going to be the best for you. So for Misha, is it for Mish Makoti? So for Mish Makoti, for you, I want to say you have to speak to a financial advisor. Find yourself a good financial advisor that you can trust to give you some good advice. Alternatively, contact me in my WhatsApp, on the WhatsApp number that's in my profile, and either myself or one of my advisors will assist you with a consultation, and they will give you good advice. They will get all this information, do a planning session for you, and then give you feedback and help you to put the correct investment for you in place. Ben Hussein says, death cover should allow us while alive to get a limited amount in times of need. No, Ben Hussein, I completely disagree with you. Life cover is exactly what it says. It's life cover. It makes provision for you in the event of you passing away that your family has enough. So the way I like to always explain it to people is, if you've got car insurance, okay, if you've got your vehicle and you pay 500 Rand a month on your car insurance, that premium you pay is to make sure that in the month that you pay that premium, if that car is stolen or in an accident, that the insurer will sort you out. They will buy you a new car, or they will fix your car that was an accident. But if you do not pass away, that 500 Rand is gone. Now, life cover works on exactly the same principle. If you've got a R1 million life cover and it's costing you 500 Rand a month, you pay that. If you die in that month, that R1 million will go to your family to look after them. You are paying a premium that is worked out exactly to the value of the cover that you have. If you want additional funds that should pay out limited amounts in times of need, then what you should do is you should go and take an investment over and above the life policy. So if you're going to get a life policy for 500 Rand a month, then pay 700 Rand and put 200 Rand towards an investment. Create your own amount in times of need. But you cannot expect the insurer who's willing to pay you millions in the event of you passing away, or pay your family millions in the event of you passing away, for a very small premium that you pay, to still give you money back if you are in need. Because then people are going to take out a policy of R1,000,000. They're going to pay R500 every 3 months. They're going to say, oh, I need some money. Please give me some money. It's not a charity organization. It's a business. And in terms of business, the insurer makes sure that the premiums that they calculate will give you the cover that you need. And at the same time, they need to make some profit on it. So I cannot agree with you. I completely disagree with you. And I hope that my explanation will make you think differently on this. Okay. Philip says, thank you, Koran. It makes perfect sense. 100%. I'm glad you did. Here we go. Rowen. Encourage. There we go. I just saw something here. I'm with GPF. Sorry, I'm gonna hurt you if I try and pronounce this name. Ntlantlo. I'm with GPF and I have an RA. Will I be getting 550,000 tax free from one fund or 550,000 from each fund? Rowan, you want to take this one?
Okay, yes, I'll take this one. Yes, so you'll only receive one 550,000 tax free for both the GPF and the RA. But if she was appointed before 1998, she might have a bigger tax-free portion, because before 1998 there was no tax on the GPF pension fund.
Thank you, Rowan. Lufan has now come with another question that actually ties in very nicely with the previous question. He says, can you have more than one RA, and is there an RA that can pay out whilst you are still employed? So this is the thing. You can have 10, 20, 30, 40 RAs. You can have as many RAs as you want. And you can choose whenever any of those RAs paid out from the age to 55. If you've got 20 RAs and you say, okay, I'm going to let them pay out from the age of 51. The first one's going to pay out 56, the next one 57. You can literally have your 20 RAs pay out on a year-to-year basis. So that's the first thing. You can have as many retirement annuities as you want. There's absolutely no limitation on anybody. And you can choose whether you want them all to pay out together, separately, different times, up to you. Then, can you have them pay out while you are still employed? Yes, indeed you can. A retirement annuity and any other funds that you have in preservation funds. Let's say you were with the employer previously and you have a pension or provident fund that's in a preservation fund. While you are employed, any of those other funds is in your private capacity. So if you're going to retire from your employment, let's say at the age of 65, but you've got a retirement annuity and you want to take an income from it from the age of 55, you can do it. There's nothing that restricts you from doing it. And that's what makes planning on retirement and financial matters so interesting, is because if we've got enough provision with different products and different plans, we can actually come up with staggered retirement, semi-retirement, full retirement, all kinds of different things. And we are not limited by just relying on retirement at a certain age from a certain amount of money. Can we please chat car refinance? Current contract balance is 310,000, refinance 258, good deal. Luther, I cannot tell you that. I don't really do vehicle finance. That's more something that either the finance company or the bank should tell you. From personal experience, because I have made this mistake myself, I bought a vehicle years ago with a balloon payment. And then when the end of the payment term came and I had to pay this balloon payment, I obviously didn't make provision, because who does that? So from personal experience, I had to refinance that vehicle. And this is the one thing I can tell you is I do not recommend anybody taking balloon payments or refinancing any type of debt, because at the end of the day, if you go and you do the calculations as to what you would have paid back on a normal repayment plan versus paying back and then refinancing, you always lose out. You always pay back way more than what you would have due to the interest on interest on interest. So I can't tell you if refinancing on 310,000 to 280,000 is a good deal. For that, one has to do a few calculations. And I'm sure if I know more detail, we can do the calculations so we can give you a better answer. But I think somebody that is in financing, specifically vehicle financing, would be able to give you a better answer. Oh, now let's see. I skipped a few years. Sorry, folks. Okay, Philip says, Sanlam is mad at me. I've moved my RA. I've moved my RA to Ellen Gray, super happy. Philip, I don't think you have to worry too much about Sanlam. Let them be mad. I think it's more the advisor that you dealt with at Sanlam. If you did not use him to move it to Ellen Gray, he's most probably the one that's mad at you. Because he's most probably not getting his trail fee commissions anymore. I find it's a very interesting evening tonight, Rowen, because normally you've got people coming in and out in droves. Tonight, there's not so many people coming in and out. I see there's 54 people on the call at the moment. But normally it's you just see the people coming and you see a lot more comments. And tonight there's not a lot of comments.
Maybe I need to go live as well because I see I'm not live. So maybe that can also increase the viewership.
You're not live? How does that work? How can you not be live if I see you?
I think I'm just a guest in your live. I don't think I have my own.
Oh, I remember you said that last week as well. You know, that's the type of thing that I'm still learning about. JMF says balloon payments are evil. Well, I suppose you could try that, Rowen, and then we can see what happens. But it's nice having you, yeah? Balloon payments are evil. JMF, I cannot agree with you more. Jonga says, my balloon was 20K. Yes, you know what? And 20K for some people is not a lot of money. But for other people, it is big bucks. And I tell you, it's the 20K balloon is not the problem. It's the problem, like I say, if you have to refinance it. And now you have to start paying premiums again. And you have to pay it again for 3 or 4 or 5 years' time. If you go and do that calculation on how much you are paying extra on interest, man, the finance houses smile and laugh to the bank all the way. And we, the folk in the street that was uneducated and did not realize what was going to happen, we're the ones that suffer. So yeah, just don't do it. Can we expand on multiple RAs? Can you share a hypothetical strategy to allow for an RA that pays? Okay, so let's look at it like this. Let's say that you start with retirement annuity, any age of your life, and you started with company A, and you start paying them. But you're not paying your 15% contributions because you've got other expenses and stuff. You're still building up a life. 2 or 3 years later, you can afford a second retirement annuity. So you've got the choice to either increase your existing retirement annuity or take a different retirement annuity because you now have got extra money and you want to work up to that 15% that you're going to contribute so that you can get, or 27.5% so you can get the maximum rebate. So 2 or 3 years later, you look at company A that you have your first RA with, and company B says, listen, we've got now a bonus structure that's built in. So you take another RA with company B. 2 years later, you want to do the same. You want to increase one of your 2 RAs, but company C offers you some other special that you just can't do. So in this way, you take different RAs with different companies. Now, if you've got 10 different RAs with 10 different companies, okay, you're going to have different values on each of those retirement annuities at the age of 55. There we go. Right now. You're going to have 10 different RAs with 10 different companies at the age of 55. Each of them is going to have different values because you started them at different times. You're paying different premiums on it, etc., etc. But if you have 2, 3, 5 RAs with one company, that the rule says that if you then decide to retire from company A at any stage after 55, all the RAs you have with them gets combined into one life or living annuity of your choice or a hybrid. But you have to exercise your option on all of them at the same time. So what legislation says? Legislation says you can take 1/3 on all your RAs as you retire from them. But you only get 550,000 tax-free on all of them together. So let's say you've got 10 million rand in all of your RAs. The one that you are retiring from now is worth 1.2 million rand. 400,000 rand you can take as your 1/3, and that will be tax-free, and you're left with 150,000 rand that you can take at a later stage that's tax-free. And now on that 800,000, you can decide how you're going to take the income, but you leave the other 9 retirement annuities, which is worth 9.2 million. So then a year later, you decide, okay, now I want to retire again from another one because I want a bit of a lump sum and I want the income. Now, if you retire from the second one, okay, and it's worth 1.5 million, 500,000 is what you can take. But only 150,000 of that 500,000 tax-free because you've already taken 400,000. And therefore, you get 150,000 tax-free, and the remaining 350,000 is now taxed at first 18% and then 26%. 200,000, 18%, then 26%. And so you keep on working it. And how much you take in terms of lump sum, how much you take in terms of income, whether you take it as a living annuity, guaranteed annuity, you can make the choice on every RA as you retire out of it. It's an ongoing planning exercise. So I don't know if this is what you meant when you asked me to expand a bit, but I hope I gave you what you were hoping to get. Okay. If it's not, then maybe you should send me WhatsApp and I can give you a better explanation. So you go here for debt whilst employed and also for when you retire. So basically, Lufandox, what I've explained to you now should tell you that because of the way that you can retire from these different retirement annuities, you can plan your retirement out of these retirement annuities based on things like your debt that you have when you retire. Okay. Hey, Tabiso Kambule is live. I wonder how my friend Tabiso is doing. Namrozi, my husband's vested pot has about 1.9 million. He wants to withdraw from 2 pot. What will be the damage? Ish, man. No. Mrozi, bottom line is tell your husband not to withdraw. The money in the vested pot he cannot touch in any case, okay? That's the bottom line. He can't touch it. If he did not touch the 30,000 that was available last year, he will have that 30,000 plus whatever contributions he's made from September last year until now, 1/3 of it. So I don't know what your husband's contributions is, but let's say your husband's contributions is 3,000 rand per month. Then that means he can take 1/3 of that, 1,000 rand per month from September last year to now. It's 12,000 rand. So if he didn't take money last year, he can have that 3,000 plus he can have 12,000 this year. It's 42,000. It's going to be different for every person, but he can't touch the vested pot. But I really don't care whether he can or not. He shouldn't. He should not touch the money. Okay, let me get off my soapbox because I'm going to jump on it again when it comes to 2 pot. Amar says, hello sir, I want to invest in Coronation Fund or Allan Gray. Is that a good idea? Rowen, what do you think of Coronation and Allan Gray? What's your opinion about those 2 companies' funds?
I unmute. Yeah, it all depends on the client's underlying fund that he chooses and the risk that he's willing to take. No company is in itself a bad company. If the fund is doing well and it's a good fund, then
No.
good.
Amaz, I agree with what Rowen is saying 100%. Coronation, Allen Gray, good companies, and they've got good funds. Now, you can go and look at their funds. You can go and look at Sanlam, Old Mutual, Investec, 10X, and with all these companies, there's going to be some funds that's really good and some funds that's not so good. The company is a good company. Coronation, Allen Gray are really good companies. And they do have good funds. I can tell you that. So yes, my honest opinion is it is a good idea to go and invest with one of those companies as long as you choose the correct fund for you based on your risk profile. How much risk you can take, you can choose the right portfolio. Okay. Oh, now suddenly there's a lot of questions.
Corney, if you do miss a question, I have questions open if you want me to read.
Okay, no, thank you very much. Paul Wheeler, what is the benefit for not withdrawing from the two-pit system? So, Paul, the basic benefit is in the past, if you, before the two-pot system, okay, you would invest your money in your pension fund and you will get all that money with all the growth at the end of the day. These days, because of the two-pot system, when people draw, whatever they draw, they get taxed on. That's the first thing. So you can draw whatever you want from the two-pot system. You're not getting that. I'm sorry. If you have 30,000 Rand that you can draw from last year, you're not getting 30,000 Rand. The best you're going to get is 22,000 Rand if you tax at 18%, but you will get even less if you're in a higher tax rate. The second thing is because that money is out of your fund, it's 30,000 Rand less that you have at retirement, which could be a month's income that you lose out on in your retirement. Then you lose the growth on that 30,000 Rand that you would have earned until retirement. And depending on how old you are, that 30,000 Rand can grow to 60, 90, 120,000 Rand. So that could be 3 or 4 or 5 months worth of retirement income that you lose out on. And that is the benefit of not withdrawing. By not withdrawing, you ensure that you get the maximum retirement funds at retirement and you have a comfortable retirement. I promise you now, this two-pot system is going to see people starting to retire in 5-10 years from now and crying their eyes out because they're not going to have enough to live on. And it's because they use the money during the lifetime. The two-pot system is going to cripple some people when it comes to retirement. How do I go about maxing out my pension? What are things I should be asking my fund about performance? So first of all retirement funds are regulated by Regulation 28, which means you cannot have more than 75% in shares in your fund. The second thing is, of that 75%, the maximum 45% can be global shares. So depending on where you are in your journey, if you've got enough time left in your pension fund, then ask your fund or your financial advisor to structure a portfolio for you. And that's a question of taking a few different portfolios and mixing and matching them until you get the right mix so that you get 75% in shares and you get 45% in global shares. And that will most probably be the best portfolio for you in order to maximize your pension. How do educational funds work and are they worth it for planning for kids' education? So let me tell you a secret about educational funds. Educational funds is nothing else than a normal endowment or a normal unit trust fund. Okay, it's exactly the same thing. It's an investment. But companies are smart and therefore they market it as educational funds or study funds or whatever. It's an endowment or it's a unit trust. So let's just move away from educational funds. Let's not talk about it as an educational fund. Talk about it as an investment that you are making for you and your family. And yes, it is worth it when planning for your kids' education. I do not like to create an investment for education and an investment for this, an investment for that, an investment for that. What I like to do for my clients is say, listen here, we want to make provision for our child's education. I want to make provision for the swimming pool. I want to put in 5 years' time. I want to make provision for the BMW X6 I'm going to buy in 15 years' time, whatever the case might be. And then say, let's invest all of that in one investment. So instead of putting 300 Rand here and 400 Rand here and 500 Rand there, I like to do one investment, because when I do one investment, it is one set of fees. I can take all the portfolios I want. I put my money in there and I keep on boosting that investment. And then I can withdraw from that investment as and when I need funds for whatever I needed, child's education included. So that's just my 5 cents with regards to it. Educational funds is a plain, straightforward endowment that's been given a nice little wrapping around it to make it look special. Nothing special about it.
Corne,
Go for it.
I have a question on my side from Quibus. Please explain again the GEPF Medical Aid Fund 11 year service. Do I qualify? Quibus, if you
Please,
were...
Rowen, I messed that one up, so please answer it, please.
So the medical aid, you will only qualify for the subsidy if you have more than 15 years of service. So Quibus, if you have more than 15 years of service, it need not be continuous. Then you'll qualify for the medical aid subsidy, but you also need to make sure that the last 12 months that you have been within a medical aid. So you cannot retire at 55 and then start, and then you want a medical aid fund. You need at least 12 months prior to retiring to be in a medical aid fund.
Thank you, Rowan. Quibus, and I know I stuffed that one up because I actually replied with a video where I said 10 years and then all benefits are secured. And I slipped up on that one. I did not realize it was 15 years. So thank you. I'm glad that you answered that, Rowan, because, yeah, I haven't gotten around to making another video for Quibus in which I tell him that I stuffed up. Antsman says, thank you for the good advice. How's it going in Cape Town, Antsman? Are you enjoying it down there, my buddy? My GG, how's it? Any wealth-building strategy for people starting from scratch today, 0 to 5 million retirement? Yes. Wealth-building strategy is start by saving as much as you can. That's the strategy. Save as much as you can. And hand in hand with save as much as you can, once again, do a good planning session so that one can make an informed decision as to what investment you're going to use. It is just a fact of life, people, that for some people at certain stages in their lives, retirement annuities are better than any other investment. For other people in other stages of their lives, an endowment is going to be better than a retirement annuity. For other people, unit trust is going to be the better one. And it all has to do with where you are in your life period. Are you a person starting up at the age of 20 with a new job, and this is going to be money that you're going to be investing for the first time in your life? Are you a 45-year-old parent who's now getting to that empty nest stage where the kids are moving out of the house? Are you 50 years old and you've come to realize that you've only got 10 years left to save and you need to save big money? Every one of these situations is a different situation. Every one of them has a different set of rules, I almost want to say, as to where would be the best place to invest your money. So, first of all, the strategy should be to invest as much as you can. And if you don't have a lot to invest, then start small, but then discipline yourself to increase it on a regular basis. I always like to compare investing to a person that trains for the Comrades Marathon. The person that wants to go and run the Comrades Marathon next year and has never trained in his life, that person can't go and do a half marathon this weekend. He's just not going to survive. But that person can start by tomorrow morning, just go and walk around the block. And then a week from now, start running around the block. And then a week later, run 1 kilometer. And then a week later, run 2 kilometers. And building up, and building his fitness in order to be able to run the Comrades next year. Financial fitness works on exactly the same principle. Start by saving 100 Rand a month if that's all you can. And then once you are used to it and you're comfortable with it, increase it to 150 or 200 Rand, and then a bit more, and then a bit more. And you will become financially fit because you will see that you're able to get along without that 100 Rand. So 3 months later, you're going to be able to get along without 200 Rand. And so you will keep on building up. So the strategy should be save as much as you can for as long as you can. Second thing is find a product that's going to work for you. That's what that asks is. Can Rowen please explain the impact of Steinhoff on GPF? Is saving via GPF that open to risk? Rowen, do you have any comments with regards to Steinhoff on the GPF?
For Luthen. Yes, so what people need to remember is that the GEPF is a defined benefit fund. So your pension benefits, be it your resignation benefit or your retirement benefit, is not determined by any fund or by any drop in the market. They just do a calculation, and because of this calculation, you receive a certain retirement or fund value. Now, although the GPF as a whole does do investments, my belief is that firstly, any company can go bankrupt. Any company. So even if you invest with a company, be it Old Mutual, be it Sanlam, so there's always that risk involved. And when it comes to the government, my thoughts are they'll always figure out a way because there's too many government employees. If the GPF would fail, then it's teachers, it's warders, it's policemen, it's doctors, it's the whole country. So I don't think people need to be too worried about the GPF failing, and it won't affect your pension if Steinhoff didn't affect the people's payout. At the end of the day, I think they're 10%, if I read correctly, over their value, the GPF's value.
So I'd like to try and explain this a bit more simple. So as Rowen has just said, the GPF is a defined benefit fund. So the benefits or the 1/3 you get and the monthly income you get is determined by a formula, okay? So it doesn't really matter how much money is in the GPF at a specific time. The formula as to what you're going to get, the formula determines what you're going to get. Now, if you are invested in let's call it the global equity fund, okay? The global equity fund will have shares in Nvidia, Tesla, Microsoft, Visa, and you can carry on naming a bunch of them. So in that fund, let's say Tesla's share price takes a dive tomorrow, okay? And their share price falls by 50%. It means that the shares that's being held within that fund reduces by 50%, which is a negative within the fund. But the other 50 shares that's in the fund is giving a positive return. Okay, so let's say on one given day, all the shares have given a 10% return on that day. Tesla has caused a -1% return. The effective return on the fund is their 9% positive. Now, exactly the same will happen in the GPF. In the GPF, they invest in a lot of different shares, both locally and internationally. And yes, something like Steinhoff would have hurt the GPF a little bit because it would have, when Steinhoff went under, whatever shares that was in the GPF would have got a negative return on the fund. The question is, how much of the fund was made of Steinhoff? And I don't think that the GPF had a big exposure to Steinhoff. If the GPF had a 1% exposure to Steinhoff in the big size of the GPF, and the GPF is big. I think it's one of the 20 biggest funds in the world. Okay, if Steinhoff made up 1% of the GPF when it went under, it means that 1% of the GPF performed negatively, the other 99% of the GPF performed positively. So Steinhoff, as much as it is a big thing that people talk about, could not have hurt the GPF enough for anybody to be worried about it. What are government bonds? Now does one sign up for one? So government bonds, basically government needs money for projects, whatever the case might be. So they say we need 100 million rand, and then they go and put it out in the market and they say we need 100 million rand. Whoever gives us 100 million rand, we will give you that 100 million rand back in 5 years' time at, let's call it 9.5%. So they guarantee a 9.5% return on that. That is what a government bond is effectively. It's you give me money or you lend me money, I'm going to give the money back to you with a interest rate. That is as easy as that. And when it comes to government bonds, you literally just have to go and Google government bonds and you'll find a lot of different places where you can go and buy it directly. Alternatively, you can make use of investment portfolios through companies who can give you government bonds. And then, can Rowen please explain the cash out process for government employees at retirement? Rowen, over to you.
I think what he's referring to is his resignation benefit. So, as a GPF member, you can decide to take your resignation benefit. You can either take it in cash, which is not advisable because you'll be penalized with tax heavily. The other option that you do have is to transfer your resignation benefit. And I believe this person is talking about at retirement. You can transfer it to a living or life annuity, and then the company which you transfer it to will provide you with an income. But it's important that you understand the implications or the consequences of transferring your GEPF to a living or a life annuity with a company. Things like your medical aid. Somebody asked a question, you won't be able to continue, or you won't have a medical aid subsidy, and that needs to be paid out of your pocket. You won't have a funeral cover benefit, and that needs to be paid out of your pocket. And you won't have a spousal income, and the income, that shows there's a lot of benefits that you might lose when you choose to do it, but it's a careful consideration that needs to be made, and your goals needs to be taken into account before you make that decision.
100%. Thank you, Rowen. Baby G says, I desperately need to set up my retirement fund. Who can help? So Baby G, I can help, Rowen can help, and over and above myself and Rowen, there is another 10 advisors in our company who can also help. And Span that you saw Nana, he can actually help. He's also a financial advisor. So Baby G, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you my WhatsApp number, okay? I'm not going to give you my personal number. I'll give you my WhatsApp number. So you are welcome to contact me via WhatsApp, and then I will either help you myself or I'll put you in contact with one of my advisors. I'll give you the T's and C's when you contact me, tell you how we work, how we do it, what the cost involvement is, everything. So Baby G, I hope you've got your cell phone number or a pen and paper ready. The WhatsApp number is 060 541 4685. I'll repeat it, 060 541 4685. Send us a WhatsApp and we will sort you out with gladness. For Rowen again, how does the medical aid element work at retirement? Do you keep the subsidy?
Okay, there's also another question on my side, and I'll also answer that. But for the medical aid, you need to have 15 years of service before you can qualify for a medical aid subsidy. But you need to retire, and that is one of the reasons I said you need to consider if you want to withdraw your resignation benefit in cash. So if you retire within the GEPF, you'll qualify for a medical aid subsidy, but you need to have 15 years of service, and you need to have been in the medical aid for the 12 months before you retire. So those are the conditions before you can qualify for your medical aid subsidy. The question I had on my side is also from Kobus. Kobus wanted to know if it was better. So do you think it's better to move your pension to a private That's what his question was. To a private fund, because I will not qualify for the medical aid, I presume. Cubus, the first thing I would ask you, can you not work until the age of 65 so that you can get that 15 years continue? Not, it doesn't need to be continuous, but that 15 years of service within government. Otherwise, you need to still consider it carefully, because it might not be the best option depending on your goals and depending on what you want to achieve, because the GPF has also an income that pays for life and you'll get your increases. There's also still, you have a funeral benefit. So it depends on a lot of things. Do you have a spouse? Do you have children? If you have a child that has a disability, they will also qualify for a child's pension. So there's more to it, and it's not necessarily better to move it just because you don't qualify for a medical aid subsidy.
Rowan, then Luthen has got another question here. I'm not sure I understand 100% what he says, but let's see how you're going to answer him, and then I will try and help or give my opinion as well. He says, please, step by step, what happens when you have to retire, Rowan, as a GPF member with pros and cons?
Please, step by step, what happens when you have to retire as a GPF with pros and cons? Yeah, I'm not certain. I'm not sure what he's asking. If he wants to know what the steps are, you need to speak with your department, or if you work at a school, the school needs to submit the documents. I'm not sure if he's talking about those steps, or if he would like a comparison between retirement and the pros and the cons of retirement and choosing the resignation benefit.
Yeah, I don't know either, but Luthen, very quickly. So the formula will tell you what your 1/3 is, then you're going to receive. Okay. And the formula also defaults that in the event that you pass away, your spouse will get 50% of your income as your beneficiary. You can choose to take a little bit smaller lump sum and then have your spouse receive 75% as the income in the event of your death. So that's the only thing. So that's the steps. The steps is you're going to get 1/3, but you can make a small adjustment to determine what the beneficiary is going to get. Then they tell you what the income is going to be. And if you have now completed your documentation and submitted it, then once you have done this, then the process happens and they pay out when they pay you out. In terms of pros and cons, well, the pros is if you retire out of the GPF and you stay in the GPF, the income that you're going to get is going to be better than any guaranteed income, I promise you, that any company can give you. It's going to be better than any living annuity that any company can give you. You are still going to be a member of the medical aid, which is important. You and your family will still have the funeral benefits, so that's important. Your family, not only your beneficiary, not only gets 50% or 75% of your income in the event of death for the first 5 years, there's lump sums payable to that beneficiary. If you have children, they will qualify for an income up to the age of 21. If you have a disabled child, that child will get a disability income for the rest of their lives. So there's a lot of benefits that you will not get if you move your GPF pension fund to a different pension fund. So, listen, if that does not answer it, then you must also take this number and speak to Rowen, and he will give you some advice. Nat says, does police can work till 65? Can the police work until the age of 65, Rowen, or do they have to go at 60?
I believe they can work till 65. I believe so.
As far as I understand, the normal retirement age is 60, but in certain circumstances, that's the nice English word I'm trying to get out, you can actually go to 65. For planning for maternity, are there any instruments that you can pay out during maternity leave? Do you know if there's any payouts during maternity leave for a GPF member, Rowen?
No, there's no. Do they want to know for planning maternity? Are there any instruments that can pay out during maternity leave from the GPF? No. There's no
You just
extra.
get your income as per usual. I mean, they don't stop paying your income. You just keep on getting your income if you're the member of the GPF. And yeah, there shouldn't be any additional benefit over and above the income that you're getting. There should not be an additional benefit because you're going on maternity leave, because then we will have people getting pregnant every year to get the benefit. Comparison of retirement versus resignation, I think. Okay, so we've explained to you the retirement thing. Resignation is just bad, bad, bad. Resignation is where you take all your money out of GPF and they just tax you from the first rand. Okay, 27,500 tax free. After that, they tax you. So, Luthen, there is no comparison. It's just, this is how good it is to retire. This is how bad it is to resign. There's no comparison. It's just bad, bad, bad. Ladies and gents, we've hit 7 o'clock in the evening. It's been fun as always. It was an interesting evening today. I was expecting I don't know, I was expecting something different. But in any case, it was fun. I hope you enjoyed it. Next week, Wednesday, is a public holiday. I'm still contemplating whether I want to do this on Thursday night because I'm thinking I should take the week off. But we will see what happens. Rowen, nice chatting to you tonight. Thank you very much. We'll see you tomorrow morning when we have our motivational or book meeting. To the rest of you guys, thank you everybody for joining us. Go and have a spectacular evening. And yeah, we'll most probably do this again next week, Thursday. All the best. Keep well. Bye-bye.
Take care. Good night. Bye-bye.